Hi there, this is Jacob Nash, Algebra Lessons, and this is Unit 0, Lesson 1, on a review of squares and cubes. So before I get started, I must say, even if this isn't the first video you've watched, this is the first one I've made on this channel. So far, I've had two other Jacob Nash Learning YouTube channels, J and GL, in 2020. Which was geometry lessons, so check that out if you'd like that. Jacob Nash Engineering Lessons is what I did recently in late 2020 to up until just last week when I ended it, and then now I have Jacob Nash Algebra Lessons. So I'm Jacob Nash, obviously, that's why it's called that. And I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. And another thing to note is that I'm not a certified teacher, but I do know about the subjects that I give lessons about, so you can the information I give you is verified, but I do make mistakes sometimes, so if you ever notice a mistake in a lesson, comment below. So anyways, there are 7 units, well actually really 8 if you count 0, but we're doing lesson 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is unit 0, and in unit 0 we'll review some algebra that we've already learned. So I must say that these video series are on Algebra 2, not Algebra 1. So sorry about that. But in Unit 0, we're reviewing Algebra 1, in case you forgot, because most people haven't heard about, taken Algebra 1 since, 2 or 3 years before. So, let's get started. So, squares and cubes. Let's see if we remember what this is. You probably do, because you have to still know that in geometry and other math classes. So, when you have a number, let's say the number's in that box, there will be a number up here, so let's just label that N. This is an exponent, but in this case, when we're talking about squares, that's if it's a 2, and cubes is if it's a 3. Now, from 1 to 12, you should remember all of your cubes and squares. You can always just type it into the calculator, but it makes things faster in algebra. So, 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. Let's just start out with these first 4. Now, what does this mean? Well, what is a square? Well, this is what a square is. That's what shape it is. There's 1 by 1. And if you think about it, what would the area be of the square if each side was 1? Well, area of a square is just side squared. So, if it is a square, both sides will always be the same length. So 1 times 1 is just 1. So that's what the area would be. Or sorry, not times 1. 1 squared. Didn't mean to say that. And then, if you think about it, if we add more squares, now we have 2 on each side. And that would be 4. Well, this is... I didn't mean to label that like that. It's 2. So 2 squared is 4. 2 times 2 is 4 also, but anyways. And then you could see how we could keep adding that. Now, if you think about it, You should already know this pretty much. But in case you forgot, it's a review. So, how there's an inverse operation of addition, that's subtraction. Inverse operation just means it's the opposite. First you add, but if you subtract and take it away, then it's back to normal. Same thing, multiplication and division. What about squares or cubes? Let's just say exponents. So, what is the inverse operation of exponent? Do you remember? It's square root. So that's what's the opposite. So if we do the square root of 4, we get 2. Now, there's a number that can go here that shows if you take the square root or cube root or any other number. If you see a 3, then that means take the cube root. If you see a 2, then it means take the square root. But also sometimes there's just nothing. And if there's nothing, then it's also square root. So you can see that's the opposite of that. And that's how we got that. Now, let's keep going with the squares. So 5 squared is 25. 6 squared is 36. And if you notice, all we're doing, what the exponents mean, is how many times you multiply that number by itself. You multiply it by itself 2 times. So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 2. Or sorry, it's 4, yeah. Getting a little tired today, sorry about that. And you can see how that works. 7 squared is 49. 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81. 10 squared is 100. 11 squared is 121. And 12 squared is 144. Now, sometimes you'll be required to know 13 through 20. So let's just go ahead and write those. 13 squared is 169. 14 squared is 196. 15 squared is 225, sorry. And then some of the ones that are higher up sometimes can be harder to remember. So let's just say I forgot 16 squared. Now it's 256. But what I could do on the calculator, you first would just do the 1 6 button. So you just type 1 6. Then you can do this button, x squared. You can do that. Also, you can just do caret 2. Now, for doing cube root, which is to the third, you would have to use this button. But you don't have to use it for square because there's a squared button separate. Alright, now 17 squared is 289. 18 squared is 324. 19 squared is 361. And finally, 20 squared is 400, sorry. And then, sometimes you have to know the higher ones, and this is 441, I believe. Let me make sure. Yes. But you might not have to know that. So there you go. That's your squares. Now, let's look at cube roots. You don't have to know as much because these numbers get bigger quicker. So this is to the third. So any number, so let's number to the third. That's what cube root is. Because if you think about it, a cube has 3 dimensions, and to find the area of it, you're going to have to multiply each thing that there is. So if we have 2 cubed, that means you're going to multiply 2 by itself 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. 2 times 2 is 4. And then bring this down here. 4 times 2 is 8. But now let's just write down our cubes. Sometimes it's harder to remember these. 1 cubed is still 1. 2 cubed is 8. 3 cubed is 27. 4 cubed is 64. 5 cubed is 125. And I don't know how much you'll be required to know, but I'll just go to 12, I guess. We'll see. So 6 cubed is 216. 7 cubed is 343. 8 cubed is 512. 9 cubed is 729. And 10 cubed is 1000. If you think about it, that makes sense. 10 times 10 times 10. Oh, forgot to put that 0. Well, you might only require to know the first 10, but in case you needed to know 12, 11 squared is 1,331, and 12 cubed, I meant to say cubed for 11, sorry if I said squared. That is 1728. So you can see these numbers get bigger way quicker. It makes a difference what numbers up here. Because remember, 12, look at the difference. They start out the same, 1 cubed and 1 squared are 1. But then when you get to 12, 12 squared is just 144. But then 12 cubed is 1728. Let's look at 12 to the 12th power and see how big that is. So that's so big that my calculator had to say this. 8.91 times 10 to the 12th power. Ugh. So that really means that there's that many zeros on it. So, yeah. And then if you do 12 to the 1728th power, overflow. So you can see the numbers get super big. But actually, that's it for this video. That's our first review. The next one should be shorter on this unit of review, but I hope this helped, and thanks for watching my first video. That'll be it.